Columbus City Council meeting for January 15th, 2024 will now come to order. In conjunction with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, a current copy of this act is posted in this meeting room. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Bulkley.
Here.
Allercone. Here. Barr.
Here.
Freshour. Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Lopez. Here. Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you, and I apologize, Assistant Clerk. Council President.
Thank you. Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, our thanks to the Columbus High New World Singers for that rendition of our national anthem. I'd like to remind anyone in our audience that if they have any items they'd like to address and they are on our agenda, please come forward. We'd ask that you give your name, address, and we'd ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. With that, we'll move on to tonight's agenda with the consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be considered enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the January 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting. Item 4B, the change of date to the second meeting in February 2024 to Tuesday, February 20th at 6 p.m. due to President's Day. Item 4C, Finance Department reports, and item 4D, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Councilor, is there anything you would like removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Move on to special presentations.
Item 6A, State of the City Address by Mayor Bulkley.
Should have brought everybody coffee.
Good evening. Before I start into my State of the City address, I would like to take a moment, and before Neil waves his tie at me and tells me I can't, and just thank our city employees for the time and the dedication for the last 4 or 5 days, for what they've been going through and what they will continue to go through. I know all of us are appreciative, and I got to say, most of the citizens I've had interaction with have been very appreciative of it too. So again, to all our employees that have been putting in the time and the effort these past 3 or 4 days especially, we say thank you. The state of our city is good. As we enter 2024, I will take the time to reflect on the accomplishments of 2023 and highlight the projects and objectives as we move into 2024. Let me begin with the mission statement of our city, the statement that defines our purpose, aiming to safeguard our thriving and inclusive community and enhance opportunities for a high quality of life, sustainable progress, and a vibrant and secure future for all. In order to achieve our mission, we must recognize that the city is operating several businesses that deliver the necessary and wanted services that provide the essential aspects of daily life and offer the amenities that many believe are necessary. This includes providing a safe and secure environment provided by our police and our fire department, staffing our E911 essential services at the Joint Communications Center, providing staffing for streets, water, parks, rec, senior center, library, and so much more. The 5 financially independent businesses that the city operates employs 206 full-time employees and numerous part-time and seasonal employees. We will operate this year's businesses with $89,958,549 budget. This budget will be comprised of $15,756,740 in enterprise funds, $28,936,660 in general funds, $22,536,553 in capital improvements, and $22,728,366 in other funds. The city's share of tax from property tax, as we all know, is 17%. That is correct, 17%. Out of every $100 that we receive in property tax, only $17 comes to the city to operate with. This year's budget allowed for the lowering of the city's tax levy to 0.0226. Our levy went from 0.315186 per $100 of assessed value to 0.29217 per $100 of assessed value. Putting that in common words, this took the city's share of a $100,000 home from $315.19 down to $292.62. So with all of this, what did we accomplish in 2023? The opening of the community building, in my estimation, is at the top. This project, consisting of the library, city hall, a non-city operated Columbus Art Council, a privately operated and funded children's museum, coffee shop. This new facility has been overwhelmingly accepted by the public and will serve as a pillar of downtown, providing traffic, entertainment, and opportunities for the entire community. The NDOT 23rd Street Road Reconstruction, Phase 1. This is Phase 1 of 3 phases. Coordinated by the state, this was completed just prior to the end of the year. Our community lived through the headaches, and we now are enjoying the end results. Completion of Fire Station Number 2, Charlie Lewis, allowing for the ability to staff 24/7, 365. Hiring of a communications manager in our ongoing effort to better inform the public. Our goal, never to hear, "I didn't know that." Replacing Pawnee Park Memorial Stadium football turf. The old turf was years past its expected life, thanks to the great maintenance of our Parks Department. Completion of the Pawnee Park Legion Baseball lighting replacement project, providing downward directional LED lights that will provide better and safer play experiences. Completion of the grain bin simulator at the Columbus Fire Department training facility. This is unique in our state, providing training not only for our Columbus Fire Department, but for others in the region, and it gives an opportunity for practice and to learn. Pawnee Park and Girard Park Master Plan. Girard Park tennis and pickleball courts and construction. Approval of downtown BID assessment with the amount being raised matched by the city. This is a first and we believe a game changer. Pawnee Plunge Family Slide. Senior Center front relocation and reconstruction. Equipment and vehicle purchases allowing all departments the ability to perform their duties efficiently. Completion of the last phase of 48th Avenue pavement rehabilitation. School pedestrian activation signal replacements. And all of this was accomplished toward the end of the year, short of one council member, because Councilwoman Augustine Schulte had resigned because she moved out of her ward. So what do we have to look forward to as we move into 2024? First, we filled that vacant council seat with Cynthia Alacarlin. Welcome. Early this year, we are looking forward to the addition of 3 items that are not city projects. So you might say, what's that got to do with my state of the city? Well, they are extremely important to our community. The opening of the Columbus Community Hospital Fieldhouse. What a facility. The opening of the Children's Museum. This organization is totally separate from the city, privately funded, and operated by their own management team. This will bring full utilization of this community building and a unique environment to our area. And finally, the Harrah's Casino and Racetrack. The public is eagerly awaiting the opening of this permanent facility and spring horse racing. City projects we can look forward to in 2024, full staffing of the Columbus Fire Department, allowing for 24/7, 365 at both our stations. The beginning of Morning Brew Community Chats, which was supposed to launch last Friday, but Mother Nature had a different idea, so it will launch in 2 weeks. But the point being, it's another effort to communicate with the people and to let them know what is going on. Initial start of workforce affordable housing subdivision design and construction. Phase 2 of the NDOT reconstruction of 23rd Street. There's got to be some good with the bad, but this will go from 16th Avenue to 25th Avenue, Phase 2. Continuation of Wi-Fi installation in city parks and facilities to provide experiences for the public and efficiencies within various city departments. Continued downtown improvements coordinated through the downtown BID. Continued study of the downtown grade separation and viaducts. Centennial Park restroom concession stand building and potential splash pad. Vanburg Clubhouse restoration. The Joint Communications Center State Radio System equipment upgrade to ensure communication not just within our community, but within our region with other agencies. Continuation of our annual pavement rehabilitation programs. Continuation of the purchase of necessary vehicles and equipment to ensure efficiencies within all our departments. And as you can imagine, there is much, much more. These are just the highlights. This only represents those things that I felt were worth bringing forward. None of this could happen without the dedicated workforce that we are blessed to have. An experienced city council. They work together for the betterment of our community. We are not always in lockstep with one another, but after, we always believe we are doing what's best for the city of Columbus. City staff and city employees who are there every day doing what is expected to keep our city operating 24/7. Your city does not sleep. All of this is coordinated by our administration and staff that is constantly raising the bar on what we can do better and what we can do more efficiently. They recognize that every dollar counts, that we are always conscious of being good stewards of the public tax dollar. I leave you with great confidence that our city, as we move into 2024, is in good shape. God bless you all. move on to resolutions, or
Public
public
hearings.
hearings, I'm sorry.
Item 7A, public hearing, purchase of real property located in the general vicinity of north of 8th Street and 9th Avenue.
Is there anyone here this evening to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing? Council, I would entertain.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion?
Just, could you tell us how many properties we looked at? Why this property? Maybe that would be helpful to the public.
Sure. So this real property purchase by the city of Columbus is for the workforce housing subdivision, phase or number 1 for the city of Columbus. We did a land RFP, and we sent that RFP to a number of property owners that owned land that was over 20 acres, developable, meaning within the city limits or adjacent to the city limits, relatively easy to develop for infrastructure and those things. And then we got 5 submittals of land. We ranked all of them. Engineering did a pretty thorough analysis of all of the properties, kind of a cost benefit, which were the most economical to develop, considering water, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, all of those things. And this property ranked the highest, and we were able to negotiate a purchase price with the current owner. So now it's before you. We do have the other properties that were ranked high on the list. After, if it's the council's pleasure to approve this purchase, we will consider an option on the next highest ranking properties for future phases. So you may see that in the coming months, so that if this is as successful as we believe it will be, we're ready to move forward with a next phase, because really we believe we can get this 25 acres built out in 1 year. We've sent out 30 builder RFPs and had an overwhelmingly positive response from builders. It's a completely different concept than they've seen, but I think they're coming to understand why we're structuring it this way. So we're really optimistic about how this is going to all come together, and this is really the first major step to get the land under contract. There's significant number of contingencies in the purchase agreement, which means we'll bring forward platting, zoning, annexation, and a redevelopment plan, and all those will need to be approved prior to the final closing on the property. So we have lots of assurances in this purchase agreement protecting the city's interest. We won't proceed with the closing until all of those contingencies are met. Any questions?
Yes. What type and what number of housing are you looking at? Are they all single family, or are we going to be multiple family?
That will come forward later and really will ultimately be determined with what builder RFPs we get back. But the way that this is going to be develop the most units at the most affordable rate and pay off the TIF the fastest is higher density. So, and that's another really valuable asset of the 8th Street property is there's commercial zones next to it. It's on a minor arterial, so higher density, especially along 8th Street, will be appropriate here, but overall a mix. The higher density along 8th Street, we're hopeful, and then get less dense as we go north on that property.
Very good. Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes.
Can you explain what the city's, what is their idea, or what are they going to do within this property? Like the infrastructure,
We're going to get lots totally ready for development. So that's everything from grading, water, sewer, electric infrastructure. All of the infrastructure be ready, and we'll be handing over a buildable lot.
Okay,
But we're not going to establish what those lots look like or designed like until we've established who the builders are. So we're not building out lots that don't fit what builders want to build. That's really why we're doing it in this sequence. So the builder RFPs are due February 15th. 1 month.
And we budgeted how much for this project?
We have $2 million in the city's budget, and like I mentioned earlier, we're working on a redevelopment plan. And based on our estimation of the higher density use, like I just explained, the TIF will generate more than enough to pay for the infrastructure. So the investment that the city's made with sales tax and utilities funds would be partially paid back by the sale of the parcels, the lots, at the time that a certificate of occupancy is given on the property. We're trying to make it very conservative, financially conservative for the city, but also attractive to developers so we can get them into town and building. And really with this, it really seems like it's working so far, and but everything is not set in stone at this point. We're trying to be open to conversations with builders, and also this is phase 1, so we are learning just along with everybody else. But so far it's gone really well. But between tax increment financing and the money that the city put in the budget this year, and then also we put in an application for this next round of rural workforce housing, we asked for $2 million from the state. There's only 8 for the whole state, so we're hopeful that we can at least get a portion of that we requested. And that would go towards water and sewer.
Now, we're going to require, when they come and want to buy a lot, we're going to require that they want to build a single-family home, that has to meet these requirements?
Yes, so our builder RFP is out, so if anybody has questions about if they're interested in building, they should contact us and ask for the RFP, and then we can answer all of those questions. But in the RFP, we were intentionally very broad, meaning we really just said, we're prioritizing higher density. This is how much we're basing the sale price of land based on zoning use type. So R1, R2, R3 use types, and then we distributed the cost we want to recoup between those zoning use types with an incentive going to higher density.
Help me with the TIF. I guess, who would be the TIF? I mean, we own the property, and the developer would do what?
The developer will buy the property.
The lots from us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, because I don't, since we can't get TIF, it has to go to somebody else.
The city can issue tax increment financing bonds and hold them, but the entities paying the TIF will be the property owners.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you for that explanation. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7A1, resolution number R24-04, approving the purchase agreement with Nels Johnson for real property located in the general vicinity north of 8th Street and 9th Avenue for the total purchase price of $790,965, excuse me. $790,965.
Mr. Mayor, I move the resolution number R24-04 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution R24-04. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B, public hearing, the Citizens Advisory Review Committee report of activities in accordance with the Columbus Economic Development Plan.
Is there anyone here to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Do you want to just give a brief?
Sure, I can give a
Please.
brief update. We've, in the last 6 months, received one application, but there was not a recommendation from the CARC to proceed with funding. And then we finalized the one loan with Granville for their 24-unit apartment building out in the Frontier Park, out by the Armory.
Right.
In that vicinity. And then you can see that there's a fund balance report. Available funds is just over $1 million in the Economic Development Fund.
Awesome. All right. Any questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C, public hearing application of Meadow Ridge Properties LLC for final plat and development agreement of Meadow Ridge 11th edition. This public hearing will be continued to February 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. because the last planning commission meeting was canceled due to weather.
All right.
Move
we
the
need-
public hearing be continued to February 20th, 6 o'clock.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to move the public hearing, application of Meadow Ridge Property LLC, Meadow Ridge 11th edition, 49th Avenue, 42nd Street, to February 20th, 2024 at 6 o'clock. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
It got voted on item 7C1, it looks like.
Can we include that?
Can we include it together?
It's,
It's all the same. Mr. Neal, are we good with that?
All right.
Motion passes. Brings us up to
Reports of city.
reports of city offices.
Item 9A, Public Works Department report on water meter updates, change outs.
Chuck Silva, City of Columbus Public Works Director. We just wanted to give a brief update on where we're at with our radio read meters and change outs. As you should be aware that we've had some issues with product being delivered, production of them. I'll just give a few points on the history of it. In 2003, the city started a radio change out and went radio read. That was a major change out throughout the whole city. So that was the start of this radio read system. That went fairly well. We had some glitches and issues with the support company. So in 2019-20 budget season, we made the decision to return and go back to the census meter. And along with doing that, we decided to upgrade to the radio read fixed base system, which as we get these meters changed out, we won't have to go out and read them and travel the whole community, every other block of that nature. It'll be an antenna system. They can pull that information daily right off the system down at the water office. So it's readily available. But along with that comes updates and meter change out with these radios. So that's in the process, but of course, 2019, 2020, COVID hits. We all know what happened. The production of the units, we couldn't get them, we couldn't get parts, we couldn't get meters, so we got way behind. So, and prior to that, we were averaging about 100 no reads per month on our list, which is industry standard, minimal, and workable. Well, going through all this the last couple of years, we got way behind. Finally, production has picked up. We're getting radios in, we're getting meters in. So now we're trying to contact the people in the community to get in and change these radios out. So with that being said, currently our no-read list at this point, we have 600 no-read units out there in the system. Of those 600, 250 approximately are 6 months old, which takes our priority list. We go to try to repair the oldest first. But the problem we're seeing is people aren't responding to our letters, aren't responding to our phone calls. So it's hard to get into the houses to get the scheduling to do the change outs. So we're still utilizing that. We are at the point now where some of these old ones, to get them changed out, we're going to start putting door hangers out And the door hanger is simply gonna state, I'll be honest with you, it's a 5-day response to us, or else we have the right, and it's in the code, to discontinue service. So, we was hoping it wouldn't come to that, but that's the only way we get the attention of some of the residents, to be able to get a response from them. So, and the process for the appointments, like I said, are, phone, letters, emails. We're gonna start the door hanger process. The time for the change out needed, it could take anywhere from a half hour to an hour. Depends if we just change the radio out, or if we need to change the water meter itself out, then it could take up to an hour. So typically we've been averaging about 50 meters a week with our staff that's out, and that's about all we can get for appointments. We can do more if we have to, and we can bring more on staff to do that, to meet the need. We've been working through lunches, we've been going out early, we've been working late, so we're making an attempt to be able to, get the work done. So, of course, with the weather and the holidays, that, goal of 50 a week has slowed down somewhat, so. Inventory of replacement units, currently we have 320 radios on hand, and we're getting shipments weekly, so that doesn't seem to be, they're taking care of our orders and what we need, so we're getting them in, but we don't want to stockpile a bunch of them. We need to make sure everybody else gets theirs and needed too, so we're still limited, but we're getting enough to keep busy and get our changeouts done. And in closing, just some miscellaneous related information. It's important for the people to respond. It's important for the people to read the back of their water bills. In the last few years, we've changed to a mail-out billing, and we've been utilizing the back of that bill for all kinds of information. And, lately we've been utilizing that, trying to get people to call or respond to our needs to try to get some of these radios replaced. And it's important to do that because if your battery's dead, your radio's not working, we're not getting the readings. So your reading's being estimated. And your estimation is based on history that we have. If you just moved in a new house and you've only been there a year, we only have a year worth of history. That's hard. Typically, we'll go back 3 years. So you may, if that's the situation, you may get a low estimate, and we may end up getting a bill at the end when we change the meter out for the actual usage, because the meter itself in the house is still recording your consumption. It's just not transmitting it to our unit that we read with as we drive by through the radio. So the reading on that actual meter, it shows what water you used. So we've seen some estimates ended up being high, some have been low. But, the low ones, and you get a catch-up bill. Nobody likes to see that, especially if it's 6 months out. We've been trying to get hold of you, trying to get in there. That's kind of hard sometimes. But and even when you do get your letter, we're sending out some of our letters, and some people, it comes out, it looks like a water bill. A lot of people pay online and have auto withdrawal. Well, they just think it's a bill and they just toss it. Please just at least open it up and look and see what it is for sure. Because that's kind of what we're using, trying to do mailings to get in contact with people. So if there's any question, Heather's here with finance, she's part of this too, so if you got any questions, we'll try to answer them.
Well, I had seen in the monthly report that the city's activity report, that our supply of meters had gotten better, than it had been. And so I reached out to Chuck because I know this has been something that probably every one of us has had a constituent over the last year or two probably ask us about. And, we're getting better at it. We're getting on top of it. So I just thought it was worth bringing forward.
Yeah, and we're at that 20-year mark, to be honest. The radios, that's their lifespan, so they're starting to drop off. I don't know, if we'll ever see that 100 number again, but we want to try to get as close as we can to it, because it's just, that's the nature of the beast. It's the timeline that they're going to start dropping off, and we're going to have to start replacing them. So sooner or later, most of the residents in the city of Columbus is going to see one of our service guys to come in to try to replace that radio.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
You indicated we were estimating some 650 meters at this point,
Right.
and
Well, that's the number that are no reads. Some people are calling them in. Myself, wasn't working, I was snapping a picture every month and sending it. So we do have some, not 100% 650, but we have 650 that are no reads, that are not transmitting.
Okay, we've got 650, 6 months ago, what was that figure?
Oh, I don't have that number right in front of me, but 6 months ago, it was more than that. We were at a 1,200 number at one time.
Okay, so we have come
Yeah, we
down
are.
from
That's the
this
point.
to
Yeah.
this.
We're getting there.
All right. Ultimately, how many more meters, radios do we have to change out?
Well, we have a total of 9,300 some odd meters in the city, so, it just depends when that battery decides to go, but, in this next couple of years, a lot of them are gonna be going down, so. That's the problem with the way they did it. They went and did the whole town in 1 year. Probably hindsight should have been done certain zone at 1 year and done it that way, but we'll be able to manage it.
Yeah, I think we did learn from that, that it should be a phased-in process in the future for the next time. One question I'd have for you, Chuck, if Neil would let me, because you are Public Works, and it's maybe not water meters, but it's Public Works. Because of the weather, we've had our transfer station down only to commercial haulers, but also we can't get to the landfill. I saw an email from a hauler today starting to lay out to the public that there's going to be some issues with garbage pickup if we have a few more days if things clean up in the next day or two, it's probably nothing. But if we have another couple of days of this, it's weather related. They can't empty their trucks if the transfer station's full, and they don't want to keep a truck full. So all of a sudden, we're not going to get picked up if these things keep up for. Am I stating that right? I guess
Yes.
I'm just.
And I think we had 3 units out hitting the alleys today, so we're getting ahead of it. So, tomorrow we may be able to open up, but they've been getting loads out, so we've been trying to work with them and get them in. So I didn't check with them today, see how many loads come in or how many haulers are out, but the alleys by tomorrow should be passable.
Were we able to get to Stanton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
Okay.
had a couple loads
Awesome.
out.
Awesome. That's all I had in that regard. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Thanks, Neil. I appreciate it. Okay, brings us up to new business.
Item 13A, appointment of Tina Pilon to the Board of Parks Commissioners for a 3-year term.
Council members, with your permission, the mayor would like to submit the following name for you to appointment at the January 15, 2024 City Council meeting and ask that the 2-week waiting period be waived. The Board of Parks Commissioner is a 3-year term. Tina Pilon has been a Columbus resident for 17 years. She grew up near David City, Nebraska, attended Concordia University and Bryan School of Nursing. She proceeded to UNMC School of Pharmacy and has been employed at Super Saver Pharmacy for almost 19 years. Tina and her husband, Jay, have 5 children, are active parishioners at St. Isidore Catholic Church. In her free time, Tina enjoys running and working out, as well as spending time with her family and their activities. She has spent a lot of time watching and playing with her family at many of the parks in town. Baseball, football, basketball, soccer, and tennis are all sports her children are currently involved in, and they have also had Bonnie Plunge membership since it opened. She feels she can bring to the park board a good knowledge and awareness of what the city has to offer to both adults and youth in terms of recreational involvement and opportunities, as well as an understanding of budget priorities and how to make the most of the resources available. She hopes to bring a new and insightful perspective to the board and to be a positive influence in helping make Columbus a better place to live and grow. With that, do we have a motion to accept this appointment?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 13B, application of the American Heart Association Incorporated for a special designated liquor license at 265 33rd Avenue on February 29th, 2024 for a fundraiser.
Move the application be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the application of the American Heart Association for special designated liquor license at 265 33rd Avenue on February 29th, 2024 for a fundraiser. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13C, comments from the mayor and city council members. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, no discussion may be held on this item.
Any council member comments this evening? Yes, sir. Councilman Roth.
I'd like to remind the public that we now have a special, what's
Survey.
my word? Survey, thank you. Out concerning the grade crossing viaduct downtown. There are 3 options, well, kind of 2.5 options available. And we would like to have the public input on these options that are available. So please, Mr. and Mrs. Public, take a look at the survey. And the survey can be very easily acquired or gotten to at the city's website, www.columbusne, that's COLUMBUSNE.us. Then if you'll scroll down on the right-hand side, there is a survey that you'll click on. It then will point out the options that are available, asking for your input, which, in your opinion, is the most desirable for you and for the city. The survey is going to close about the end of the month, but we really need your input on this very, very important project.
Thank you. Any other comments this evening? All I would have to add, I started my State of the City by thanking our city staff. I also would like to just, remind the public to be patient as we continue with our snow removal. The storms that we had we got dumped on without question, and the temperatures that followed it. It's a chore, and we're getting to it and getting at it, but please be patient as we continue to work at it. My second item was exactly what Councilman Roth pointed out, was the survey. So with that, we'll move on to, where am I?
Resolution.
The resolutions.
Item 14A, resolution number R24-05, creating an apprenticeship program for the police department.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R24-05 be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Chief, would you like to come forward and just give us a brief description of what we're after here, please?
City of Columbus Police Chief. Thank you for this opportunity to address you guys and maybe answer any questions you might have about this. First of all, before I get started this, I'd like to thank Captain Talkin. This was actually his brainstorm to come up with this idea. But we've had difficult times enticing potential applicants to come to the police department to apply. The last time we tested, I think we tested 3 individuals and nobody passed through civil service. And so we've had a difficult time trying to recruit individuals to come be police officers these days, for whatever reason that might be. So Captain Talkin came up with the idea that if we went after recent high school grads or incoming college students and get our hooks into them with becoming members of the police department early before they leave for the city, we might have a better opportunity to keep them around the city of Columbus and show them what a good place we are to work. And so we're looking at one of 2 things. I guess my recommendation would be a hybrid program. We're looking either a full-time position or a part-time position where these individuals would go to college while they're still working for us. And so if we took one of each, a full-time and a part-time, the anticipated cost, the impact of the city would be about $95,000. But we'd keep them in that program until such time, until they turned of age where they could go to the academy, and then they'd go through the civil service testing process to be able to be vetted to apply to go out there to the academy. The work that they would do would be similar to the CSTs, our community service technicians, and animal control. Also, they would augment those departments performing those services. A legislation that was passed a couple years ago, LB 52, I believe it was, indicated what people could and couldn't do if they were employed by law enforcement. And I sent this policy and our requested apprenticeship program out to the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center to have their legal people look at it. And they've approved it and said it would meet that LB 52 requirement. These officers or these apprentices could not perform any law enforcement work. They can work alongside law enforcement and they can assist them. And they can do CST and animal control type duties, but they can't do any really law enforcement type work. And so we have to be careful about what we call them and how we treat them and the job descriptions that we put forth towards them. So they'd be able to help us, they'd be able to help the animal control enforcing all those animal duties, and they become overwhelmed in the summertime. They'd be able to help the CSTs during their duties. They'd be able to assist the officers in traffic control. They're able to assist the officers in evidence collection. They're able to assist the officers in all sorts of ancillary duties that our CSTs currently assist with. And so that is our request to you folks, to get permission to be able to start this program. And we'll look at potential individuals through the high school program that are recently graduated, and those individuals that are going to the college, see if we can get somebody that maybe will fulfill a part-time and a full-time position. We opted away from going to both part-time people because I don't know that we'll get two people out of the college that'll want to come down to work for us part-time and still go to school. So Captain Talkin thought that if we went with a full-time person, somebody maybe that didn't want to necessarily go to college, we could bring them on as a full-time person. They'd get full-time pay and benefits just like any other full-time employee, and keep them in such time as that they were old enough to apply to go to the academy, at which time they'd go through the civil service. Now, we do our usual vetting. We do a cursory background check and other types of things to make sure that we're hiring the right people with the right attitudes and backgrounds so that we're not compromising any of our intelligence or information that the department might have. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to think outside the box to try to recruit individuals into the department. So if any of you have any questions I could more specifically answer, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Chief, I understand you're looking for a full-time and a part-time,
Right,
and that was the 95,000 that you had
Right.
mentioned?
right.
And that money is really in your budget already because you're not full-staffed,
Correct,
correct?
and I failed to mention that.
Yes, so
This
there's-
money would come out of our salaried budgeted positions right now, because we're currently 3 officers down. And so this program would go away at the point that we become fully staffed and there are no other monies left in there. Unless, we'd look at this in the future and make it a budgeted item in the future. But right now, we're just looking to use up those salaries that aren't being used in the department. That's how we plan to pay for it at this time.
Any questions for Chief Scheer?
You're not going to ask to have them do the civil service exam for these people?
Not initially.
Okay.
But at the time that they become eligible for the academy, they're going to have to go through the civil service process, yes.
Would they be more likely to pass that test at that time?
We hope so. Our intent is to assimilate them into the department and train them appropriately so that we get more qualified candidates that come to apply.
Why are they failing the civil service exam? What's their,
That's a good question. Most of them fail either the mathematics or the grammar portion of it. And then if they are able to pass that, they may not pass the physical agility, which is what we have to put them through to get them out to the academy. But here recently, we didn't have anybody pass the civil service interview examinations.
my,
And so,
That's sad.
we have to, if we can bring them in and we can train them up and help them become more articulate and work with them to be able to pass those hurdles, we'll be in a better position to work with these individuals in the future. What we're doing isn't working, and so we need to think outside the box to try to bring qualified applicants into us. And we're going to try this and see how it goes. We've had some success with our internship program. One of our recent hires was an intern and was a product of that process, and so we're pleased with that. And we're going to continue the internship program as well as the apprenticeship program, so we're not going to let that go.
Well, it sounds like a win-win
I hope
if
so.
we can bring it together. Not that I'm after a name, but in your mind or in any of our officers' minds, do we have possible candidates that you think might be ready for this? Have you thought of those people already?
I can tell you that Captain Molchik he's in touch with the schools, and think they're gonna start a law enforcement block out there, and hopefully we can lay the seed or plant the seed in that law enforcement block and try to bring people in. We've already laid the seed with the college. Matter of fact, one of the things we're looking at with the college is if we start this program and we get a college student involved, they'll pay us a one-time fee of $5,000 to help supplant the program.
Awesome.
And
Very
that
good.
obviously won't pay for everything that we have invested in it, but it's something towards that. And so, we've already planted that seed with their criminal justice people up there to be recruiting and try to send people our direction.
Very good. Any other questions for Chief?
Well, I would just add one comment that we've been short for quite a long time. We've implemented a lot of good new policies and programs to get up to staff, and this is another great one. But the department really, they're doing a great job of hiring when we can compared to our sister cities. I just heard last week that Norfolk is down 12
Right.
officers. So, compared to some other communities, we are still short, but it could be a lot worse. So you guys are doing great with what
Well,
you've got.
Thank you. This is a problem that I've foreseen, that I don't see it getting any better in the near future. We're aging as a department, and we're going to be seeing some retirements. And I'm losing people faster than I can hire them, and that scares me, and particularly with some things that we've got on the horizon that are coming to our community. We need to be as fully staffed as we can. And so we're testing again this weekend. We were supposed to test last Saturday, but due to the weather, we canceled it, so we're testing on this Saturday. So if any of you know somebody that might be interested, please have them get a hold of HR and let them know we're testing this Saturday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
you.
Appreciate it. All right, we have a motion and a second to pass resolution number R2405. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14B, resolution number R24-06, approving the service and consultant contract with Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District for general administration of the Community Development Block Grant number 23-DTR-003. This is the downtown revitalization grant that we received.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of resolution number R24-06.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R24-06. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14C, resolution number R24-07, approving the service consultant contract with Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District for construction management of the Community Development Block Grant number 23-DTR-003. Again, the downtown revitalization grant.
Mr. Mayor, move the resolution number R24-07 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R24-07. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. That brings us up to ordinances on their first reading.
Item 15A, ordinance number 24-01, adopting the Columbus City Code. A copy of the city code is available for review at the city clerk's office. This is a general cleanup of ordinances that have already been adopted and some minor edits to the city code. It's very large, that's why it's not all attached here, but if anybody wishes to review it, they can contact the city clerk, and we will go to 3 readings.
All right. So we will go to 3 readings. We have nothing else. That will bring us up to meeting adjourned.